Well, let's get some more reaction to this. Dr. Ongama Mtimka is a political analyst. He's been looking at all of this. Dr. Mtimka, good afternoon to you. Well, so many different things to look at. Firstly, David Mabuza stepping down as deputy president, and that is before the president announces his reshuffle. How do you see that?
Stephen, and your viewers, it's been very clear that David Mabuza has wanted to remain in control of the narrative about what his fate is. Starting first with announcing a resignation at a time when the president had not yet accepted his resignation, and then now this move of resigning as a parliamentarian. I think that to me there's more to it than, meets the eye. I wonder whether there is an intention to try and force the president to make a move here where he may have sensed that the president wasn't going to commit, especially around the role of a deputy president. But I think the grander scheme of what is at play might be revealed as time goes on. But I think the relationship to watch going forward is going to be that relationship between David Mabuza and Paul Mashatile, whether it morphs into something else going forward.
Are you suggesting that this is not just someone who wants to get out of office? There's some deliberate maneuver here.
I think that I want to give a benefit of doubt to both positions, that this is somebody who has read the tea leaves and recognizes that his time is over. But the way in which he seems to be bent on controlling the narrative and determining issues about timing at a time when it seems uncomfortable to the president even, suggests there's something bigger at play here.
There are so many other things going on at the moment. I mean, it would presumably be to Mashatile's advantage to have the reshuffle announced because he's the person everyone thinks is going to be appointed. But that also suggests then that for some reason Ramaphosa doesn't want to appoint him, and that the delay by Ramaphosa has been deliberate. I know, Dr. Mtimka, am I going down a rabbit hole here?
Yes. Well, I mean, it's interesting that we talk about a delay as though there was an ideal time that this needed to happen. Obviously, because of the portfolio of Fikile Mbalula, that is an issue, and now that you've got a resignation also. Otherwise, the cabinet reshuffle should be made by the president after having factored in all the considerations politically. It's not like, Stephen, this process is meant to strengthen the state, where the delay thesis could gain more momentum. This is not being done in order to improve efficiencies at the level of the state. This is done to align with political developments at the party level. So that then, to me, says with the president will do it when he feels that he's been able to sufficiently address all the political concerns, and there are huge ones concerning the deputy president. Remember, today's developments as well will not, bode well for that relationship. We know that closer to the conference of the ANC last year, Paul Mashatile appeared to be playing his hand too much in ways that upsetted the Cyril Ramaphosa camp. And the president will be thinking about that even now that he's had a legal setback a little bit.
So complicated. David Mabuza, as deputy president, this is deputy president from 2018, if I recall correctly, now to 2023. How would you describe his legacy? Are there achievements he can point to?
I think that there's been very few politicians after Thabo Mbeki who have given who have defined the role of deputy president in ways that make us, have some fair basis on which to evaluate their performance. Obviously, they do become leaders of government business in Parliament, come and attend, certain question time in Parliament. There, I mean, it's really been a mediocre position. I think the best way to judge David Mabuza, for me, will be the strategic decision which he made in 2017, which was not only pursuant to a a determined agenda, but also nation-saving to the extent that he precluded the continuity of a Zuma dynasty by the choice that he made in the 2017 conference. Other than that, he's been a lame duck president, as deputy president, as people who have fulfilled that role recently have been, actually.
There was a briefing, of course, by Vincent Magwenya, the spokesperson for the President. He was asked about this decision today by the Constitutional Court to not hear the President's application to, as I understand it, overturn the parliamentary panel decision and that investigation into Phala Phala. To just go back a little bit, the panel found that there was evidence the President may have seriously violated the Constitution and the law over the US dollars that were kept at his home in cash that weren't declared to the Reserve Bank and SARS. I'm going to take a breath now, Dr. Mtimka, after all of that. The point is that the Presidency saying that this is just a technical judgment doesn't really mean anything. If that's true, why on earth did he go to the Constitutional Court? This is surely a setback for him.
Absolutely so. My satisfaction with the decision is precisely the fact that the President didn't think much about the implications of approaching the court directly hardly a year after appointing Deputy Chief Justice Zondo to become the Chief Justice in a process which was, problematized by many people, unnecessarily so. So to try and embroil that court in a matter of this nature, where it was not self-evident as to why he was approaching that court, was not well thought out, and and I'm happy that the Constitutional Court has been able to actually say this has got to go back to the high courts. It cannot be heard by them, precisely because there's a lot of things which need to be ventilated in the lower courts and the merits debated there before it comes to the Constitutional Court. I mean, if you had the implications of having the Constitutional Court applying themselves to the matters that were raised by the President, challenging the basis upon which the former Chief Justice, former Justice had determined, would have had huge political implications. So my view is that they have actually made the right decision by saying this must be presented in the lower courts, so that by the time it comes to the Constitutional Court, if it ever comes there, the Constitutional Court applies itself within the limited scope that is defined for that court.
Ongama, I mean, it's rabbit hole time again, I'm afraid, because this now means that the decisions around the Phala Phala report and the panel were made by Parliament, which comes under the Western Cape Provincial Division of the High Court. And the Chief Justice there, or the Judge President of the Western Cape Division, is Judge John Hlophe. And the President is in a position where he is, I can't remember where this is now, but he was going to suspend, or may have in fact suspended, Judge Hlophe. So now we have, a bit like the Public Protector, actually, a situation where one person would be in the determination to hear a case or decide who would hear a case as the Judge President of a division, and the other person has the power to suspend him. Aren't we tired of rabbit holes?
Yeah, I think for me, whatever anxiety the President might have had about the presenting the matter or taking the matter to the Western Cape High Court, should not have been, to the extent that the President decides not to approach that court. Otherwise, it also falls in this trap that our judges serve political interests. And I think I would like to think more highly of our judges than that. I think regardless of who's dealing with the case, fact of the matter is that they have to deal with it on the basis of the facts that are presented before them, and where any party is not happy with the outcome of a judgment made in that court, there is a very clear process to appeal such decisions. So my view is that while he may be concerned about Judge President Hlophe, whom he initiated a process of suspending, subject to obviously Judge Hlophe's review, it shouldn't be consequential as to who sits and judges the matter if we all accept the view that our justice system has remained largely uncaptured as far as the courts are concerned, at least.
Dr. Ongama Mtimka, curiouser and curiouser, I suppose would be the way we should describe it all. Thank you very much indeed. So much more to talk about.